They won't develop a masculine physique or learn combat skills. They just won't. I had this guy, he was an incel, sends me a email. I think he wanted to do a sponsored request. So if you don't watch the Entrepreneurs in Cars channel, you should go subscribe to it. People can sponsor videos over there and ask me to respond to whatever it is that they're stuck on. Okay. And I usually end up reading, whatever it is that they're stuck on. Takes 20, 25 minutes. I get feedback. Boom. I said to this guy, instead of me reading what you're writing here, why don't you come on the show and let's go back and forth? Because this is going to take a little bit of time, right? Like when I do private consults, like I'm dealing with high net worth individuals. My rate is not cheap. It's expensive. You can book me online at richcooper.ca, if you guys have the means. So I said to this guy, why don't you come on the show and let's have a conversation about what's not working for you and go back and forth and try to figure it out. So I had him on an Unplugged Alpha show. Many of you might have seen this episode. If not, you should go back. It was about 2 or 3 months ago. And the guy's like, basically, I'm a really nice guy. He sounded like a nice guy. And women don't want anything to do with me. I just don't have any success, right? With the gals. And it's like, you ask him some questions. Well, what do you do for a living? Well, doesn't really do much. He's not influential. He's not captivating. He doesn't have a good social network, doesn't have any skills. He's way underweight. I think he was 130 pounds, 5'6" or 7, 6, wasn't super tall, but way, way underweight, right? Like my chick's 5'8", 130 pounds. She's fit. She's got a little bit of muscle on her, but she's mostly, like a fit chick sort of thing. And it's like, dude, you weigh less than a chick. Like, why don't you go to a gym? Well, I don't know, like maybe I will, sort of thing. Why aren't you at a dojo learning combat sports? Like learn how to throw hands and fight. I was talking to this other kid a couple weeks ago. He had me as an interview on his channel. His name's Tyson Hockley. Seems like a good up-and-comer. 16 years old, right? Finds me on Twitter, says, hey, man, young man, I want to have you on my podcast, ask you some questions. Sure. No problem. Talk about a few concepts and ideas. Get to combat sports. Yeah, my mom doesn't really want me to fight because, she thinks I'm going to get hurt or I'm going to break my face. It's like, this is where we are. Right? Like, helicopter parenting is like pussifying children to the point where they're not allowed to learn fundamental skills of life, like combat, like how to throw hands. What happens if the shit hits the fan? What are you going to fucking do? Right? What are you going to do? Nothing is what you're going to do. You're going to be one of those people that are like, well, I'm afraid of guns and I never want my kids to learn how to fight. So I don't want them to get injured or hurt their noses. So they have to stay inside. And, like in a bubble, the shit hits a fan. People that have the means, that have the ability to wield violence will be going around taking shit from you is what's going to happen. Nobody likes a meek man. My advice is go anyway. Fuck what your parents think. Go learn how to fight. So back to the incel. Didn't want to lift weights, didn't want to go to the gym, didn't want to learn how to fight. It's like, bro, how am I supposed to fucking help you if you're not willing to help yourself? You won't even do the basics. 130 pounds. I would be embarrassed to be an adult male at 130 pounds. Okay. Pocket Hercules, the guy that I've talked about before, a buddy that I grew up with in my 20s and 30s, we used to live together. He was 5'5". He was about 165 pounds. Okay. I don't give a fuck. 130 pounds at 5'6", 5'7", whatever it was, is embarrassing. I would be embarrassed to be that light, to walk around. I remember as a teen, 14, 15, 16, like when you go through the growth spurts and you're just shooting up like a freaking rocket. And, sometimes you wake up and you're sore because your bones have grown overnight. Like that's what it's like. And like weighing in at 140 pounds or something like that. I mean, I'm a pretty decent size now. I'm 6'2", 215 pounds or so. But there was a time when I was like, over 6 foot and I was light. I was embarrassed. Like I used to, even in the summertime, I would wear big sweaters to try to like hide, how thin I was. And I was doing push-ups and I was doing pull-ups and I was doing the curls and I was reading like, I was reading about how to build muscle. I didn't want to be skinny, I saw icons like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Conan the Barbarian. I thought to myself, that's what I want to look like. But people don't do that today. Guys are just like, yeah, why don't girls like me? It's like, bro, you're 130 pounds. Girls are bigger. Like the average chick in North America is probably 180 pounds. Hundreds. I think, let me just look it up real quick. I think the average weight of a Western woman, it's been published somewhere. What's the average weight of a Western? I think it's 160, 180 pounds. It's fucking ridiculous. Here it is. The average woman aged 20 years and above weigh 170.8 pounds. No wonder chicks aren't looking at you. They're like outweighing you by a huge margin. Because it's hard to lift weights? Because it's hard to get punched? Yeah, it's hard. Anything worthwhile in life is going to be hard. I used to have a part-time job when I was in high school, nursery. It was a garden center. It was a pretty cool place to work at actually, because there was a lot of young, attractive women and cashiers and like in the garden center and the crafts. Like there was a lot of chicks there. So it was a good place to be social. It was a good place, to develop some strength and some skills, because a lot of shit you had to pick up was heavy as hell. Like four cubic feet of peat moss, 5-foot park benches, all these things that we had to lug out from the back to customers' cars. And you're in the sun, sweating a lot of the time, in the summertime. It was actually a pretty decent job, for a teenager. Back to the part-time part. My dad would never give me a ride to work. He'd be like, ride your bike, walk. I don't give a fuck. Take the bus. You figure it out, right? I didn't have access to a car. My younger brothers got the car when they were teenagers. I didn't get shit. So I'd be sitting at the bus stop, 15 years old, okay? And I'm looking at the cars going by. And my favorite car at the time was an IROC convertible. It was a Chevy Camaro. They made them from 85 to 1990 was a body style that I liked, okay? It wasn't a powerful car. 5-liter twin-port injected engine, maybe 220 horsepower car, but they look fucking cool. I remember sitting there, because you wouldn't see a lot of exotic cars back then. You wouldn't see Ferraris and Lambos and shit like that. This was the exotic car to a 15-year-old like me at the time. And I'm like, that seemed like so out of reach. They were probably 25, 30. I would go home and I would look it up, right? Or I would walk into the dealer and be like, how much is this car, right? It was like, $25,000, $35,000, like somewhere in that range, depending on how you loaded it. And it's like, that seems so out of reach when you're making $2.75 an hour, right? Like, how the fuck do you turn $2.75 in an hour to $25,000 to $35,000 so you can have the car you want? I figured it out. Because I bought the car like 5-6 years later, when I was like 20, 21. I figured it out, right? Like, this is what guys do. I've said this many, many times. People ask me all the time, like, what's the most important skill you got to have as an entrepreneur? Yeah, the most important skill you got to have is problem-solving skills. Like solving problems that you're dealing with. And guys would rather be like, well, women are shit, so I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to just go to my room and stay there instead. Fine. Don't call into my shows and ask stupid fucking questions, though. All right, we covered masculine physique, combat sports, and my dudes that go to the gym, I salute you. I see you guys, working out, picking up heavy shit, putting down, working on your physique, eating the calories, drinking the liquids, doing everything that you need to do to put on the size and the mass and create the optics of masculinity. It's not hard. It really isn't. It's not difficult. It's just putting in the reps and the time. Eating good food, moving more. There's a couple of guys that I follow on social media that deal with fitness and health. I don't need help with fitness and health, but I'm interested in the engagement conversations they have. And I noticed there's a few guys dialoguing back and forth about this peptide, semaglutide, Ozempic, or whatever the hell it's called. It's that new one. I bought some stock in Eli Lilly months ago on the recommendation of a friend that deals in that space, and it's done really well. But it's that company that basically gives you that weekly injection. It's a pen. You don't even have to know how to fucking inject. It's so basic. A retarded monkey could do it, where they could just stick it in, and it's like, boom, oh, they got the injection, right? Like they've made it that simple. They don't even have to learn how to pull it out of a syringe and clean or backfill another syringe. They made it so simple. Retarded monkey, okay, I got my shot, right? These people just want to keep eating shit, but take the shot so they can keep eating shit. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? These are this is what these guys in that space are dealing with. Like, that's what their customers are. They want to keep eating shit. Their pizzas, their hot dogs, their frozen foods, their microwave dinners, their McDonald's drive-through bullshit. They want to keep eating that and then take a shot and not be fat. It's like, this is your competition. This is the vast majority of males out there today are the people that you're generally competing with. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here, and pin down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.